You're listening to episode 72 of the Comics Pals. We're a group of comic book journalists and friends who record a podcast together because we don't talk enough about comics in our daily lives.
So last weekend was the Academy Awards, and was it just me or was Boss Baby really snubbed this year?
Isn't it called Baby Boss?
No,
it's Boss Baby.
It's Boss Baby.
Oh, really?
It's a trilogy. The first movie is Boss.
The best baby.
Yeah.
Well, Boss Baby is the best baby. He got the most raises and promotions to become the Boss Baby.
Who judges that?
Who
Corporate.
exactly is in charge of the babies?
Oh, mommy and daddy in corporate. Am I right?
I think the joke that you just made was about as riveting as the Oscars themselves. So thank you for that, Phil.
You gonna play the music to play me off?
No, I'm just gonna tell you to shut up. Because that's how we do it here on the Comics Pals. We're rude. But we will not be rude to our guests.
Says you.
That's not nice.
First he was mad that you stepped on his line, and then he accepted it was pretty funny.
That's actually horrible. No, it's not funny. We are very pleased to have two of the members of the creative team for Crowded, which we talked about actually last week, I believe it was. A huge announcement coming out of the Image Expo. We've got two of the creators from Crowded, Ted Brandt and Ro Stein. So thank you so much for joining us. How are you guys doing?
Hey.
We're great. Thank you for having us on.
Yeah, we're absolutely thrilled to be here.
Thanks for coming on.
So, I'm familiar with you guys, but I didn't know that I was because you've worked on some things that I've read, and it's always interesting. I had this experience with Christopher Sabella. We actually had him on the show a few months back, and I didn't realize I knew who he was just because you see a name on a book and it's like, oh, that was really good. I wonder who that was, but then you kind of forget about it. You guys worked on a little bit of Captain America Steve Rogers, which I was a super huge fan of. And then you also worked on the Mighty Captain Marvel. So,
yeah, we went through a 6-month period of just we were kind of helping out around the Avengers office, basically just.
We were essentially the character actors of comics for 6 months.
Yeah, so anytime they were going through some slight difficulties, if artists were having personal problems that just meant they couldn't quite make a deadline, then we were the guys for a few months.
You were tag team partners. You're ready to tag in at any time.
Yeah, pretty much.
But yeah, we all do that.
Yeah,
Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say it was a weird 6 months, but a really fun one.
What does that experience sort of entail? I'm kind of fascinated by that. So how does that work exactly?
We would email Tom and Alana, Tom Brevoort and Alana Smith, and say, do you have any jobs at the moment? Basically.
Or occasionally, on a couple of occasions, they did get in touch and say, this book's running behind and we need to, keep up. Are you available right now? And we were. So
there's one memorable time where there was literally one page needed doing and so they came to us like, can you get this done by tomorrow? I'm like, yep, okay.
So yeah, in the it was one of the Avengers point, I think it was Avengers 0.5 or something, when they were doing the kind of the point, sort of secondary issues.
Essentially, we don't actually remember what we've done.
No, but we had one page of Avengers that we've done, which was fun, but it would have been nice to do a little bit more.
Well, hopefully Marvel continues to consider you guys because you have to afford your pizza obsession.
Yeah.
So,
well, that's how I picture these emails coming. They're like, guys, this is a real last second notice, 23rd hour, 11th hour. Can you do this? And you're just sitting there eating pizza and it's like, I'm kind of busy, but okay.
No, always take it, because what you got to remember is just because I have pizza now doesn't mean I can afford pizza tomorrow.
That's a very good mantra to live by.
So, how did you guys? Sorry.
That's a pizza.
I tweet about pizza every week when we make it.
Ah, right. It's not an addiction, of course not.
No.
Once
It's a
a week.
lifestyle.
Yeah, once a week. That's a passion. That's okay.
Yeah, I've done well in cutting down.
Instead of being a pizza a day, you're a pizza a week now.
Exactly. Practically healthy. It's a vegetable.
Practically healthy.
Yeah, I think the food pyramid actually has pepperoni as like a vegetable.
Look,
How?
food pyramids are the thing of the past. What you want is a food circle.
And then directly at the center is pepperoni.
And then preferably all over the rest of it. Usually on top of a layer of cheese.
It'd be very neglectful if it was just one pepperoni.
Desperate times.
Exactly. You're into proper no pizza with left beef territory there.
I used to work at a pizza place, and I always wanted to do that.
Honestly, guys, we don't even have to talk comics. Like, that's what we do on the show. We don't have to. We could literally just talk about pizza if you guys want. We could.
All right, welcome back to the Pizza Pals.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. This is just basically a prolonged episode of the Ninja Turtles.
That's worryingly accurate, I reckon. But
Yeah.
does anyway.
Neither of us does machines, though, so,
You do our internet.
be careful with your phrasing there.
I don't know what you mean.
Based off how you guys banter, what is your collaborative process like when you work together?
Like this on paper, kind of. So, I mean, it varies at least slightly project to project. We don't ever quite work the same as it goes on. Like, it's a continually evolving thing. So, I mean, with Crowded, what we're doing is the pair of us sit down and we work out like the choreography of the page. So we break up the actual panels and work out like what's big, what's small moments. So like, and try and get
If we need to add some extra little moments.
yeah. So we work together and get the actual just panel layouts for the page sorted. Then
I go in and find out what sort of angles and body language would go in, and I do that on the computer. So it's like a really rough layout type thing, but with a bit tightened up body language, so that when I print it off in very pale blue ink, then I can pencil over it and put in the details, and then I pass it on to you so you can ink it.
Yeah.
And make it look like it's actually been done on purpose.
yeah, but so there's a lot of there's a lot of back and forth at every stage of the process. It's pretty symbiotic relationship altogether.
There's a lot of me posing you so that I can get a reference photo. I should probably delete stuff from my phone again soon.
Yeah. But it with things like that, it's been, we've got a very expanding prop gallery. So we've got
Got a lot of toy guns.
lots of different kind of at least semi-accurate looking plastic guns, a couple of wooden samurai swords. From our first gig, we actually have a Chinese longbow.
But we never actually used it.
Once. Yeah, we used it once.
But it's still cool to say we've got it. So
Yeah.
So when you used it, did you shoot it multiple times, or did you shoot it once and something terrible happened and that was enough?
no, we just thought the character would be using it a lot more often, and that didn't happen.
Yeah. It was a slight problem because we were introduced to the character. It was character Raven from Jeremy Whitley's Princeless series. So she was the Black Arrow.
And her main weapon was meant to be a bow and arrow.
So that was so we did the first the arc introducing her in the main Princeless book, and then we were like, and then Jeremy said, would we be interested in doing a spin-off book? I'm like, oh sure. And so we thought, right, well, we better get a bow for reference just in case, because like, Black Arrow, there's going to be a lot of archery. And then there wasn't much. So we have a longbow now.
In the garage.
That's all really interesting, but I am noticing that you sort of dodged the question. Who did you murder, and are you out to do it again?
I don't think we've ever actually shot the arrows. So we've got this thing we've never used.
Yeah.
As its main purpose.
Yeah, but I mean, it made like 3 really beautiful looking accurate panels.
Yeah.
So
it sounds like the solution is to write a book about an archer now. Or I guess find someone to write a book.
Or you could write it too. Or a more likely solution is to sell it for more pizza, frankly.
Yeah. I don't know how the barter system works over there, but I'm not sure the local pizza place would take a longbow.
In the United States, which shouldn't be to any surprise, hand weapons actually are 1-to-1 ratio for pizza over here because of how common both are.
I mean, I've eaten some pizza over there. I'd say both are probably equally hazardous to health as well. So,
yeah, that explains
those
a lot.
are fighting words.
Oh, now you got Pete going.
Actually, we're very far away, so we'll see you coming.
And they're the ones who have the bow and arrow, so
they could shoot me from really far away.
Well, we'll light one lamp if they come by sea. We'll light 2 lamps if they come by land, and we'll light 3 if they come by land and sea.
I mean, you don't necessarily even have to be accurate because he's going to be on his way for a long time. So you've got some shots.
But, I mean, like, I think there was one time when we were playing a game of D&D and a character used a longbow and still managed to shoot themselves through the foot. That's about our level of skill, so I wouldn't worry too much.
Yeah. Oh, boy.
That facial expression makes it seem like that's happened. Oh, don't even get me started.
Ted's had numerous near-death experiences, so adding a longbow in probably is not a great idea.
What kind of near-death experiences? That's my question.
Falling off ladders, nearly breaking his neck on pile of logs. You had a ton of radiators land on you.
It's only a quarter ton.
Still a lot of radiator.
But yeah, asphyxiation, drowning, the usual.
Wow.
So you have like 9 lives then?
I think I'm down to 4.
Maybe you're Captain Scarlet?
Yeah.
Fair enough. So you guys started out with Princeless, right? You mentioned it before.
Yes.
What was your foray in the comics actually like, and how challenging was it for you to break into it?
Well,
we kind of broke in by accident.
It was embarrassingly easy. Like, a lot of people work at this, and we lucked our way in.
Because Jeremy, the 3rd volume of Princeless, the artist had kind of dropped out for personal reasons, and so it was really, really behind. So he was kind of desperately put a post up on Tumblr, and Ted saw it and said, we should try for that. And so...
we got the gig, and that was it. So
yeah.
that was what was more challenging than getting the job was the fact that we'd never worked together before then.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was the first time other than when your uni project kind of got broken on the computer, I helped you colour it in because it was like really short notice.
But like that was the first time we ever like collaborated on line art was Princeless.
So how long have you 2 known each other then?
6 years?
No, not 6 years. We've been together 6 years.
7 years then.
8, I think.
Well, a while. Yeah. How did it passed? I think it was linear. Who can tell?
How did working together actually impact your relationship? Like, at first, did it like put a strain on it? Like, now you're symbiotic, like you said, but like, were there growing pains?
Probably not as many as you'd expect. It was mostly fine, honestly. Like,
We spent a ridiculous amount of time together anyway because we're not healthy people mentally. But
is like no, it was fine, honestly. There, some days are always harder than others.
oh yeah, we can definitely get on each other's nerves.
Yeah, but it didn't change the overall structure of things because it was just partly because we both wanted to make comics and we'd been coming to the realization because we tried getting some work, like tried doing some illustration jobs like solo, each of us, and neither of us were great at it. And so we were coming to the realization that like if we were going to get a job in comics, it was going to have to be working together.
So it's like a permanent three-leg race for you two, where two of your legs are tied together.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate. Yeah.
Have you guys been fans of comics your entire lives?
I hadn't. I'd read a couple before starting the university course where we met, which was for comics. But I originally wanted to do animation, but that's hard. So.
But yeah, I've been like with comics as long as I can read. So I started out with Belgian comics like Asterix and Tintin, which my dad had a huge collection of. So literally before I could read, that was what I was looking at. And then I first got onto American comics, unsurprisingly, because of X-Men the animated series, which like I rewatched it recently, like a couple of years ago, and it was so incoherent. I don't know how it made me want more, but it did.
I agree.
In fairness, that's not too different from 90s X-Men comics, though.
No, it was quite an easy transition in. Because living in the UK, like I didn't live at that time anywhere near an actual comics shop. So what we have over here is outside of comic shops, just in like newsagents, newsstand stuff, we have like digest things. So you get like a title called Wolverine and Gambit, which would be an issue of Wolverine and just an issue of X-Men that Gambit was in, or things like that. And so like transitioning from watching the show to that wasn't very difficult because they were each as like completely non sequitur based as each other. So. And then
that's interesting.
Then it was when I was 14, I think I actually finally found a comic store, and that thus it became the life of Jake Peralta style crippling debt.
Hey, just out of curiosity, where did you guys? You said you did a comics program together. Where did you do that?
North Wales.
So
okay.
A bad town called.
Don't say that.
It was a bad town called Wrexham, with an okay university, which happened to encompass a great art school.
Wait, I'm sorry. I literally heard you say rectum.
Wrexham.
Oh,
Rexham. But I mean, you're not wrong. So
It's a lot more grey than a rectum.
Yeah.
It was an unhealthy one for sure.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate.
Everything was grey, including the people.
Oh no!
Oh, it was like an alien town.
Kinda.
Yeah, I went to the University of Dundee and got my master's at their program.
Cool.
Yeah, my first degree was at Durham, so not that far away.
Oh boy, that means you guys are rivals.
Guess that means I have to kill you in old style, American rivalry fashion,
All
I
right.
kind of need him.
I mean, they have the bow and arrow. Like again, they have the advantage.
And apparently a whole other arsenal of weapons.
Yeah, but they're all made of plastic, so I wouldn't worry too much.
Well,
I mean, he doesn't know that.
Juggling club.
But
I'm also on the other side of the world, so I've got the long game planned.
If you get a box of kiwis, don't eat them. Is your house booby trapped like in Home Alone with all those plastic weapons? I had a real question, but I actually really want to know that first.
No, they're in an untidy stack in the studio.
So there might be booby trap for us because we do have a tendency to trip.
Yeah, they're more a threat to us than anyone else.
Yeah.
That's commentary on owning a personal weapon, I suppose. What's your working relationship like with Sabella? He's a friend of the show. He's a personal fan of mine. We're very close now as a matter of him being on the show. So what's your working relationship like with him?
I'd say it's really good.
Yeah, it's been fantastic, honestly. Like, he's really communicative. So it's been great. Like, he's been really open to the idea of us pitching in on ideas and concepts, which has been fantastic.
He also doesn't mind us messing about with panels, so that's good.
Yeah, because like the average panel count on a page is probably somewhere between like 7 or 8, but like the original scripting was about a 5-panel average
For issues 1 and 2 at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but he's like been really, really cool about just letting us do whatever we feel works best.
That's really exciting.
Yeah. It was great. Like from the first time we talked to him, we knew that he'd be a good person to work with.
Oh yeah.
So how did you get connected with him in the first place?
Was it our editor?
Yeah, the lady who's editing, Juliet. She started out as just being a mutual friend of us and Chris, and like we'd just finished up our last Captain Marvel issue, which so we were kind of short on work, and just said to her, if you know anyone who has anything, and coincidentally that same week, Chris had also said to her, "I've got a load of pitches and don't know where to find artists." So we had a long Skype conversation with him, went through
a couple of
5 or 6 different like pitches that he had.
We want that one. We can make that funny.
Yeah. Yeah, and so I mean, you've seen at least one of the other pitches come out already, which is Cold War, with fucking fantastic art by Hayden Sherman. Like,
I actually just read that.
Yeah,
it's really good.
Yeah, Hayden's done an amazing job on that. Like, so I'm really glad we turned that down, because we could never have been we'd never have done it as well as that. Like, no, I
think we're too goofy for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Crowded is getting slightly more slapsticky as we go on.
I have a lot of respect for that.
So, can you guys sort of give us the pitch for Crowded? Talk to us about, what it's about and how you've added your sensibilities to it.
Yeah, I mean, like, so the basic pitch for anyone who didn't hear the announcement is 5 minutes in the future, American society has been like gently turned upside down by the advent of a site called Reaper, which offers kickstarting for hitmen. So, the lady down the street hassles you because you put your garbage out in the wrong bin. Start a Reaper. Your boss, your boss gets on you because the work wasn't quite up to standard. You can start a Reaper, and then if enough people if at least one other person kicks in, the Reaper campaign goes live, and from there, it can build in. Anybody can chip in, and whoever claims the kill gets the reward, whatever it turns out to be. But after 30 days, just like a Kickstarter, whatever the pledge level, if the kill isn't filled, then nobody gets nothing, and all the pledges get refunded.
And you're not allowed to kill that person, otherwise it's just murder.
Yeah. So in this world, then you've got this abrasive but charming girl named Charlie.
Who's basically a nobody.
Yeah, she's a nobody who wakes up one day to find $1 million bounty on her head with no clue why. Now, no bodyguard that she reaches out to will touch her, apart from one, the lowest rated bodyguard she can find on the Defend app, Vita Slatter, who is distant, grouchy, and very painfully good at her job. So now Vita has 30 days to keep Charlie alive.
And find out why she's got such a big bounty on her head. That sums it up, right?
Yeah, I'd say that's pretty much the summary of the book.
That sounds incredibly fun, actually.
I hope so. We hope so. Like, the first 3 issues, so we finished the first 2, we're working on the third now, and they are all really, really enjoyable.
Chris has said that it's a bit sillier and funnier than he first expected it to be. So you asking how we added our sensibilities to that? We have a lot of daft expressions and body language.
Yeah, and like when we mentioned that we've added a lot to the panel count, quite a lot of that was
comedy timing.
Yeah, comedy timing, reaction beat type stuff. So, but yeah, like we're trying to make sure it really doesn't feel like any other book out there at the moment.
What was it that excited you about the pitch?
Kickstarter for Killers.
Yeah, and also
that just seemed fun.
You know, you've got
road trip.
You've got these 2 very, very different women in a literal life or death road trip against
everybody,
against absolutely everybody in a version of America that's very similar to what we have now, but you
can see it happening possibly in the future.
Exactly. It's technically very different, but you could easily see it coming true, all of it. And so that was one of the things that really appealed. The idea that, like, after doing pirates and superheroes for all of our career to date, we're finally doing something that, like, if we're all very unlucky, this could come true in 5 years' time.
We better do a good job on the book then.
Yeah.
That's a chilling thought.
It kind of reminds me of an episode of, like, Black Mirror, like.
Yeah, it is. It's definitely similar to that. Only, it's got a lot more room to breathe. So, because while I love Black Mirror, then, like, some of those concepts could maybe stretch out a bit further if and we've got enough character work going on to balance the plot development. So it's feeling nicely rounded so far.
Is there any plan for it to be an ongoing, or is it a mini? What's that looking like so far?
We don't know exactly how long it's going to go on for, but it's going to be longer than what you class as a mini. Right?
Yeah, I mean, like, our dream goal is somewhere between 25-30 issues, based on conversations we've had so far. Now, money willing, as long as it sells well enough, we're riding it to the end. So hopefully that's where we'll get to. Like, who knows? It may end up being a bit shorter or a bit longer, depending on how things shake out. But yeah, that's the current aim. Like, yeah. So
we want to do it.
Yeah,
we want to get it all done.
Exactly, and the idea of having a 30-issue book under our belts would be just wonderful.
The fact that it's so unique, and this is kind of what we love about Image, is that you can't really find anything like that anywhere else. Nothing quite like that out. And so I think beyond the pedigree of, like, Sabella, whose name is definitely been building, and I do want to just put this out there. It's been building ever since he did our show. We do like to say we take credit for that. But he's been on the rise, and you guys, you're both amazing. I think that this has a real shot. And again, coming out through Image, who really give these kind of quirky, off the beaten path books opportunities to succeed. It sounds like there's a real chance here.
Oh yeah, like Image have been very excited about this, so that they've been. I mean, we don't have many direct dealings with them, but they've been super supportive so far. From inviting Chris to announce it at the expo to printing up those gorgeous 11x17 posters at the show.
Well, we knew they must be a bit excited because it was an incredibly short turnaround for the pitch.
Yeah, it was. It's true. The pitch was picked up very quickly, which
we thought we'd have to worry a lot longer.
Yeah.
Oh, did they like it? Oh, yeah, okay.
But then, of course, in typical fashion, it became, wait, that was too fast. What's going on?
We're not paranoid.
So I know you said that you haven't had a lot of like direct dealings with them, but do you have like anything to comment on how it's been different than your dealings with Marvel?
Well, I mean, like with Marvel, our point of contact was our editor. So they were the face of the company as far as we were concerned. Dealing with the editors was dealing with Marvel, but we don't really deal with Image at all. We mostly just talk to our team, and then just for simplicity's sake, Chris is the one who deals with Image because it just keeps things streamlined.
Mm.
So yeah, from that point of view, it is quite different because when we were working with Marvel, we had direct contact with Marvel, but not usually very much with the rest of the team.
Yeah.
But most communication would go through the editors. So it's kind of the inverse here, where we don't have much at all to do with the company, but are talking to the team multiple times a week.
And this is also, an original sort of collaborative effort, whereas you guys were just kind of filling in,
Oh yeah,
with Marvel at the time.
Definitely feel more ownership over the whole job.
Yeah, so the fill-in work was undeniably a whole lot of fun, and if they ask us in the future when we're free, then we're not going to say no at all because it was great. But it both in terms of like actual ownership and the fact that we're committing to like a long run on this means we can get more of a rapport with the characters and feel like we're doing a better job.
That's awesome. I really wanted to get my hands on one of those ash cans just because I really want to get a feel for this book before it drops.
I think Chris is going to be putting up on his site, or he might have done it already because he didn't quite sell through all the stock at City. So if you check that out later today, there might be up on there, I think.
If not, I'll send him an email.
But yeah, he was definitely planning on selling the rest of them online. So,
well, I mean, if the book becomes huge, I'm going to want to have it because then it might be valuable.
Set the money.
Exactly. There you go.
Just saying. I mean, he blew up right after he was on our show. I think who knows, guys, where you're going to be in another 6 months.
Probably still in the same pit drawing the same book, but that honestly, that's a best case scenario for us at this point.
I mean, yeah, I'm really surprised that he let you come away from the desk to do this interview. It must have something to do with us.
Me specifically.
Oh yeah, he's a hard taskmaster, but he'll let us have time off for special occasions.
And pizza.
Yeah.
So we love conventions. We live in New York. Well, we don't live in New York. I live in New York, and the other guys, except for Kale, live close. So we love New York Comic Con and different things like that. So is there any opportunity or plan for you guys to maybe come to America, do the convention circuit, anything like that?
Not this
currently.
year. Not this year. Like we do really want to come back. We've been to NYCC once and loved it.
Mm.
So
best mac and cheese van outside the convention. It was fantastic.
Yeah,
that was the highlight.
quite besides the food, it's just like the experience was fantastic.
Oh yeah.
American conventions in general we love. We would really like to do some, but at the moment, basically all of our resources, including money, are getting ploughed into making sure the book gets made. So this year we're doing just one domestic con, and then if the book starts doing really well, then
maybe we'll be invited. Hey.
Yeah, or at the very least, if the book starts doing well, we'll have more reason and incentive to come abroad. So definitely, if we do get to that point, then New York would be one of the definitely one the main target, really.
Yeah.
We'll see what kind of clout we can pull here.
Well,
do you guys do Thought Bubble?
Yes.
Yeah, that's my favorite UK con for sure.
Oh yeah, that's really the only one we do.
Yeah, basically just because a lot of the others are good, but just never quite been convenient. But Thought Bubble's always good enough that we have made the time for it.
Mm.
So yeah,
so we haven't tabled there for a couple of years just because we haven't really had anything to put out.
No, because especially because the last year, especially then.
We'd sent off the pitch, hadn't we?
Yeah, but
we didn't really have any product.
No, because Marvel comps can sometimes be a bit erratic, so we just didn't have anything really worth selling. I mean, we had original art, but it kind of felt a bit disingenuous because one of the reasons Thought Bubble is such a good convention is because it's curated. So it's not a first come first served basis for tables. You apply on the basis of your comics that you're going to be bringing to sell, basically. And so, since we didn't have any comics to sell, we thought it'd be taking a space from someone who would be more deserving based on the criteria.
That's fair.
Yeah, but this year we're going back because Crowded will be out.
We have at least a couple of issues.
Yeah, should be the first 2 issues out by the time Thought Bubble comes out. So comes around. So we'll actually have things this year, which would be great.
And something people might actually be interested in. So yay!
Did you guys get to attend last year?
Oh yeah,
we went there because.
Oh, you did. Okay, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So this it looks like they're doing the same again, where it's kind of spread out over the center of Leeds.
Yeah.
And that was a really cool format. I'm really looking forward to doing that again. Yeah.
It's the European model. That's how European towns.
Oh yeah.
I've been to the Angoulême Festival a couple of times, and that's just so fantastic. Angoulême is basically like a really old medieval town at the top of a small hill with kind of the modern bit of it all around it. But then the entire top of this hill gets taken over by the show. So they erect tents everywhere, and and the whole town is comics themed anyway, with graffiti and all of that. And the seriously world-class comics museum, which is worth the pilgrimage alone. If you can spring it. Oh, it's phenomenal. Like they've got you could walk around and see pages by Chris Ware, then instantly go off to John Buscema, off to classic Europeans like Hugo Pratt, then find incredible manga pages as well. They cover the entire world's comics output, and pretty much they've done a decent job of historical pages as well as like kind of more recent things. So it's I can't recommend it enough if you ever have the time and money to be in France.
It's pretty cool. So we're we are really excited for Crowded. I'm personally looking forward to it very, very much. This summer, it's going to be dropping. That's all we know right now, right? Just this summer.
Yeah, 'cause we're working on the 3rd issue at the moment, and So as soon as third issue's done, then it'll go out for solicits.
Okay.
So, well, I mean, it's not as soon as, because it'll be the month after that, because that's when it'll go to previews. And so like, based on our work at the moment, we're aiming for May previews.
Okay.
Yes, the third issue is very full of stuff, so that should be fun.
We're like, yeah, because it's 2 pages longer than normal. Because we're normally doing a 24-page issue. This one's clocking in at 26. And sometime after we talk to you guys, we're going to have a call with Chris about the possibility of maybe extending it 2 more pages. So,
Wow.
It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good.
So we don't know if that's going to happen, but I mean, it's definitely going to be a big one regardless.
Yeah.
Awesome. So we're looking forward to that, and it sounds like you guys are putting a lot of effort into it because clearly you're masochists and want to do more work. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, it's it's all worth it because all we want is for this book to be the best we can possibly make it. And if that means adding in extra panels on a page or extra pages in an issue, then that's the job ultimately.
The thing is, we do actually have a reason for putting in more panels because, I'm speaking for myself personally, I have comprehension issues when it comes to reading stuff. So I always want to make sure that whatever we're making is definitely easily readable and very clear what's happening. Because I've read some comic books before and it's like, what is going on this page? It's insane.
So yeah, like we've got points where like most of the pages are 7 or 8 panels, but we've strived to make sure that they're all that you could read it if it was your first comic.
That's awesome. I mean, I think that's a really that's a great attitude to go into it with because that's something that we've definitely like dinged a lot of books for, where it's frustrating that even if the art is good, where like if I have to struggle to understand what's happening, like that's definitely that it impacts your experience as a reader and like takes you out of the flow of the story. So it's great to hear that you guys are really, really putting in a lot of thought into that and going that extra mile.
Oh yeah, because it's very different to like just explaining things all to your audience. It's not the same type of thing as just spoon feeding like the story. It's like just making sure that what you're wanting to be read is easily readable.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So no matter what the size of the panel, no matter how many panels on the page, you should be able to look at any of them and know exactly what's happening without having to think too much. Is the aim.
Right. Well, and it's funny though, because like we laugh because we all like have read comics, but I think like you said, you wanted it to be a book that's easy for people to pick up as their first, and I feel like that's the thing a lot of people struggle with is like, how do I follow the panels? Like where am I supposed to be looking at what point? And I find a lot of new readers struggle with that. So, and I like that's something I pay attention to a lot is like panel layout and like especially inventive panel layout. So I'm really excited for issue number 3.
Well, because we do try to have quite inventive panel layouts. We're hoping that we haven't gone too crazy and it's still instinctive how you're meant to read it in the way we've done that.
I mean, the handy thing about the fact that we work in the same room and our working process is batting things backwards and forwards, there's a lot of time for quality control, which helps. Because we've got 4 distinct layers of process before it gets emailed off to the team. So that gives us a lot of time to go, oh fuck, this looks terrible. Sorry, am I allowed to swear?
Oh yeah, no, please do.
Absolutely.
This is a pirate ship.
Fuck yeah.
We like to play a game with our guests, but before we do, I want to ask you one last question here. I was on Yahoo Answers before this, and I figured you could help a random person here with a problem they're having by offering some advice.
Okay.
This person, Sam, asks, how can I safely look at a picture of the sun?
Draw it yourself.
I mean, first off, safety first. So I would say, maybe some safety goggles with polarized tint, because no matter what he's printing it on, we want to be careful. I'd say maybe like a pair of oven mitts, so that if he's picking up the picture, there's no paper cuts.
Well, it might be really hot too.
Yeah, exactly. Like, safety first. So honestly, I would suggest that the safest way would probably be have someone else do it and describe it to you.
Sam from 2013, if you're listening, there you have it. There's the best advice you're going to get for this.
Oh, boy.
Oh, that's awesome. So before we play the game, where can people find you guys if they want to know more about Crowded or just more about you guys and your creative process and maybe even pick up some art?
Oh, we've got the website.
Yeah, so our website is Brandt and Stein. That's all in words, no symbols.com.
And that's got links to our Twitters and Tumblrs on the website.
Yeah. So it's also got the shop. We've currently got a lot of pages from our champions, Mighty Captain Marvel and Steve Rogers
Bitch
issues.
Planet.
Oh yeah, we've also got our the art from our Bitch Planet short as well, which are all up for sale.
Reasonable prices.
Awesome. Yeah, so I mean, the Tumblrs are both quite neglected. The Twitters are the Twitters are where we live online if we do. And so I'm 10_bandits on Twitter. And you're
Rosy Tinted Specs, and it's ROSY Tinted Specs.
Yeah.
So you will get more from him than me.
Well, if you have enjoyed this incredible banter, then you can definitely go on to Twitter and check out more from these two.